What's good? It's Woog. Just got done watching Triple G versus Murata in Japan. This shirt, by the way, is a band called Chai out of Japan. Really good indie rock band. Give them a listen. They're called Chai. Just got done watching Triple G versus Murata, and Triple G got the job done. It was not without concerns, though. I'm not going to lie. So Triple G came out the opening round, and he was more or less controlling the fight with the jab and controlling, like, at range, doing all the things that we're accustomed to seeing Triple G do, especially when he was going through that, 160-pound rampage where he was just a dominant champion for more than half a decade. But come the second round, you see Murata start really attacking and just coming forward on Triple G that you're really not used to seeing people do. I mean, we saw Sergey Derevianchenko kind of take the fight to Triple G. I thought Derevianchenko deserved the decision win against Triple G. And then obviously we saw Canelo Alvarez in the rematch against Triple G fight a much more aggressive fight. But Murata with the height component too, and looking like he was coming down with 1-2s on Triple G, jabbing to the body, throwing right hands to the body. In the second round, I started to see Triple G, get backed up in a way that, you're really not accustomed to seeing him do. He will circle out and then get backed up again. Third round, more of the same thing. But this time, the body work seemed to become less probing and popping and more punishing, to where you started seeing Triple G kind of wear the body work. And, the commentators were repeatedly noting that the body language wasn't looking great and he was circling out of harm's way, trying to still establish or reestablish that jab, but unable to control or dictate the terms of the exchange. It's like the pace of the fight started getting away from him, where the younger Murata was starting to pour on with the offense, and Triple G started to kind of get back into defensive jab mode, almost like we saw him against Canelo in that second fight. But Triple G started to throw, power punches, and he was, always good, including this fight, with the punch variation, throwing uppercuts to split the guard, hooks to get around Murata's high guard, and then obviously the straight jabs to go through the guard. So he was still mixing up his punches. You were just wondering, what type of structural integrity does he have around the body area as Murata continues to pour on the offense? It started to get pretty concerning. I was checking Twitter, seeing, what Mike Coppinger and Sergio Mora and Steve Kim and Luke Thomas had to say as the fight is taking place. And, they pretty much saw some of it the same way. It was a very concerning second and third round. In fact, I gave Murata the second, third, and fourth round. So after 4, I had it 3-1 Murata. Then you started seeing Triple G kind of reestablish some of the control. Not so much with the range control and asserting control over the fight with the jab. No, that's not how Triple G kind of regained the reins of this fight. It was through coming forward and just putting power punching combinations together in a way where I'm a little bit surprised that at 40 years old, he wasn't punching himself out in some of the rounds. Now, you would still see him even in the later rounds after he reasserted control, because from the 5th round on, he ended up stopping Murata via knockout they threw in the towel after Murata got dropped towards the end of the 9th round. That's how the fight came to an end. But, you would see Triple G start throwing just combination after combination and landing with most of those punches, to where he was really busting Murata up. You started seeing Murata start to back up in a way that he wasn't in the 2nd through 4th round. And then he even started getting pinned up against the ropes, where Triple G would then just throw relentless hooks, left hooks and right hooks, mostly around, again, the high guard of Murata. But then again, he would occasionally pop through the guard as well. He just continued with that onslaught, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round, until Murata could no longer take it. You would see Murata start to kind of wince after some of the punches, kind of nervously smile, or I wouldn't say nervously, but, where you're kind of showing your hand when you start smiling after getting clobbered with some very devastating punches. You started seeing some of that body language on the Murata side, and then you started seeing Triple G become more and more emboldened in his offense, to where you started seeing like a more lively energy even during the second halves of each round, because that was another one of my concerns. Even if Triple G has a good first half of the round, the age starts to show itself in the second halves of the round, when you've basically punched your punches and you start experiencing arm fatigue, and then you start getting backed up in the second half of the round. Triple G was actually finishing the second halves of a lot of these rounds pretty well, especially for a 40-year-old. So from the 5th round on, a lot of those concerns, because at a point I was thinking, damn, is Murata going to stop Triple G here? Because it looked like for a period in this fight, there was like nothing Triple G could do about getting hit to the body, and even with the straight rights. Now, Triple G does have a technique that he was using where he kind of dips his head down, so when Murata throws the right hand, coming from the taller fighter, he's kind of hitting like the top of Triple G's head. I saw him doing that a lot. But some of the big sweeping punches from Murata will kind of like whiff just slightly above Triple G's head, where you're thinking, man, if Triple G gets clipped alongside the top of the head or upside the side of the head, you can see or imagine Triple G's legs start to give, because even his stance and how his face looks, just being older now than he was in his prime, Triple G just looks more vulnerable than we've seen him in the past. Not only in that we know that he's working harder, because you could see that he's having to work harder to win the rounds, win the fights in this case, but just the look that he has looks a little bit older and just more distressed. So yeah, there was a concern that, damn, is Triple G about to get stopped by Murata? It was looking very possible for a moment. But again, he reasserted control from the 5th round on, started really letting his hands go. Again, I'm surprised that he wasn't punching himself out of a lot of those rounds, because he was really pouring it on, where he started to kind of do away with more of the jabbing and started committing more to a lot of those hooks and uppercuts. Uppercuts through the guard, hooks around the guard. At a certain point, he couldn't miss. And Ryota Murata doesn't have great footwork or movement to begin with. So once he started getting caught and hurt, and his defense was even more compromised, he was, his defense at that point became his offense. Like, he would just start absorbing more punishment and then just try to find moments to come forward and let a few hard punches go, where Triple G still had to be careful in those moments. And he was here and there still getting hit in some of those moments, even in the later rounds. But, the skill and the class and the durability, endurance, and all of that experience of Triple G won the day here, and he ends up again stopping Ryota Murata towards the end of the 9th round. And I would classify this as Triple G having to rally back, even though it was just, the 2nd through 4th round where he was experiencing the height of that difficulty. It was looking pretty bad in that. I don't want to make too much about how much damage Triple G was taking or how damaged he looked or reacted in those rounds. It just looked like he was no longer able to assert control of the pace of the fight or really stem the tide of what was coming his way in terms of the offense. But Triple G, even then, and obviously in the rounds that followed, still shows that he's got that prodigious offense. Just unbelievable power still in both hands. I don't know if he has as much pop as he did in his prime, but I mean, Ryota Murata couldn't withstand the continued onslaught of the, 40-year-old Triple G. And so now if Canelo Alvarez handles business against Dimitri Bivol, we get our Canelo versus Triple G 3. And I have to say, I am not loving Triple G's chances in the trilogy fight against Canelo. I'm in the camp that thought Triple G deserved the decision win in the first fight, thought the second fight could have gone either way. But if Ryota Murata was able to hurt Triple G or make Triple G very uncomfortable with some of those straight rights to the body and jabs to the body and hooks to the body, he was really starting to get in on Triple G's body. Triple G would return the favor in certain cases, but Triple G did start, aiming up top a lot more than he was the body for much of his successful attack. But if Ryota Murata was able to do that to Triple G in rounds 2 through 4, I don't want to know what Canelo would have in store for him one division up from here. This is Triple G at 160 against Murata. He's going to have to go to 168 to meet Canelo Alvarez. And Canelo Alvarez unified all 4 belts at 168. So we know that he is tested and durable and dangerous at 168. I mean, he's about to fight Bivol at 175. Bivol's the current WBA champ there, undefeated WBA champ. So we'll see how Canelo versus Bivol plays out, because I tend to believe that there are some big ifs in that fight. I can't wait to do some further analysis on Canelo versus Bivol. But if Canelo versus Triple G 3 ends up happening, I actually think Canelo stops Triple G. I mean, that's my early assessment here. And that this is in the wake of a Triple G knockout victory over Ryota Murata. It's just, I don't think that he's got some slick defensive maneuvering. Triple G is able to roll with punches, slip punches, duck punches, step around harm's way, and then administer his attack from good angles. But Ryota Murata, footwork-wise, isn't nearly the caliber of Canelo Alvarez. Endurance-wise, same thing. Experience-wise, probably even power-wise. I mean, Ryota Murata does punch with a lot of pop, but we're talking Canelo Alvarez, and we're talking Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G 3 in 2022. Not loving Triple G's chances there. But yeah, let me know what you thought about Triple G versus Murata. I'll probably do a more wide-ranging wrap-up. But yeah, let me know your first impressions in the wake of Triple G versus Ryota Murata. Hats off to the 40-year-old. You know, Triple G's composure is always something to behold, because even in those difficult moments, he looked like there was like a assurance or a certainty. Even during the difficult moments, he looked like more or less, I'll figure this out. I got this. He was taking that deep breath and, you know, breathing out of the mouth a lot and having to really dig deep to pull this one out. But he did so, and his composure, again, should really be applauded here. But yeah, Triple G, even at 40 years old, is among the elites at middleweight. It's a shame that we're not getting Triple G versus Charlo, versus Munguia, versus Demetrius Andrade. I really feel like, you know, those could have been some very big opportunities for the legacy of Triple G. His legacy was obviously harmed by, you know, the decisions of the first and second fights against Canelo. But it didn't seem like Triple G had much interest in fighting anybody who wasn't Canelo and was an absolute elite in the weight class, which I don't really get it. I don't get why Triple G versus Demetrius Andrade didn't happen. But, you know, he's an aging fighter and he's just, you know, being very selective. But I think that could cut both ways. That could also hurt your legacy if you kind of blew the opportunity to fight some of the biggest fights that mattered. But we got a title unification fight here. Triple G now holds 2 of the 4 belts at middleweight. That's not going to matter because him fighting Canelo won't be at middleweight. He's going to have to go up a weight class, and I don't love the prospects of that. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.